Come on out here. Tell you what, do you want to walk this way and I'll hold the mic?
Hi. Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nohea Glenn. I am a rally kid. I just turned 10 years old 6 days ago on March 20th. I'd like to talk first to who I live with. I live with my mom, Malie Glenn, my dad, Kenneth Glenn Jr., my brother/best friend, and Makanakea Kua Hall. We have one dog named Willow. She's a Cane Corso, which is an Italian Mastiff. Also, sometimes my grandparents have to come to stay with us to watch over my brother and our dog when I'm getting treatment at the hospital. Now to give some brief information about me, cancer, and treatment. And I say brief because we'd be here all night if I gave all the details. About 2 years ago, in the summer of 2024, my family moved to Florida. I was 8 years old. Shortly after moving, a week before school started, I had extreme pain that started my neck, then moved to my back, then to my thighs, then all over my body. At first we thought it was just growing pains, but then I lost my appetite, and all of a sudden, I started bleeding out of everywhere. My parents took me to the ER right down the street from where we lived, in Navarre. They did a bunch of scans and tests, and after a long wait, they said, "We contacted Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola. It looks like your daughter might have cancer, but we are not sure." Shortly after, I was transported to Bear Family Foundation Pediatric Oncology Center for Hope in Pensacola. There, I received more tests, scans, and lots of painful pokes. Me and my mom stayed there that night, and the following morning, we woke up to some really, really bad news. My whole family came to see me, and the doctor said the worst, most horrifying thing anyone could ever say. "We are so sorry to have to tell you this, but Miss Nohea has cancer, acute myeloid leukemia, AML." We were all in shock. It was extremely hard for me to wrap my head around the news. It seemed so unbelievable, like it was just a bad dream. Unfortunately, it wasn't just a bad dream. I was still in immense pain, even with constant morphine, and my emotions spiraled out of control at random times as I tried to process what my life appeared to be. There were so many times that I honestly didn't think I'd make it through. I was just ready to be free from the pain of cancer, free from the pain of treatment, ready to be pain-free in heaven. But through all my difficulties, my family was always there, and the nurses, doctors, and Riley were there in ways I didn't expect. They did more than just treat me. They loved me, cared for me, played with me, and even cried with me. They became family. And with that led to 3 rounds of chemotherapy in Pensacola, long stays in the hospital, short stays at home, and too many medications. But God still got me through. I went to septic shock in my second round of chemotherapy. That led to about a week in the PICU, which is just one of many PICU stays. Due to having AML with 2 high-risk and aggressive gene mutations, I was told I would also need a bone marrow transplant right away. So after those yucky treatments, I got transported to Shands Children's Hospital in Gainesville, which is over 5 hours away from home. There I had my 4th round of chemotherapy and conditioning treatment to get ready for my bone marrow transplant. On Christmas Eve in 2024, I received a bone marrow transplant. This is not just any bone marrow transplant, it saved my life. And I want to invite to the stage the person who donated their bone marrow and saved my life, my best friend and brother, Makanakea Kua!
Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I would fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I
Transplant was harder than anything else I've ever been through. I felt like it beat me up and left me barely hanging on for dear life. During transplant, I had to get an NG tube and then quickly progress to needing TPN instead. TPN is where I get all my nutrition through my central line in my chest because I couldn't eat or drink for over a month due to the painful mucositis sores that cover my mouth, throat, and entire digestive tract. These sores also left me unable to talk, so I communicated by writing things down on an erasable pad. Due to one of my chemo medications, my whole top layer of skin completely peeled off from my body, from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet, including all my fingernails and toenails. During transplant, I developed horrible pain in my hips and thighs and was unable to move or walk. My parents had to gently lift and carry me anytime I needed to leave the bed. Scans determined that I had osteonecrosis, which means bone death, in both my legs. But once again, God came through. Miraculously, I fought through the pain of moving and walking again. Now I can jump and dance without any pain. Regardless of the scans still showing bone death in my legs. Once I was finally released from the hospital, I had to stay at the Ronald McDonald House in Gainesville for 4 long additional months after transplant. It was so hard being away from home for so long, but now I am home. Well, most of the time. I've had many, many complications during my journey. My body never seems to follow a textbook path of things, so it makes diagnosing and effectively treating me difficult. I'm currently battling chronic graft versus host disease of the lungs, which is a severe complication from my bone marrow transplant. Treating this is hard because I need to balance maintaining my lung function while also minimizing my risk of cancer relapse. Just last month, I had a procedure where they went into my lungs and used a balloon to open up several of my airways that completely closed off. And I will continue to have this ballooning procedure done every couple of months. I have also been getting high-dose steroid infusions each month, as well as some new oral medications, all to help my lungs. But still yet, I feel like I'm in constant limbo. I don't know where I stand. I have no idea what the future holds for me as my day fluctuates from day to day. But I have faith that God will make a way for me and give me a future. I pray for all these kids with cancer and any disease out there. I pray for their health, their strength, and their comfort. I thank my parents, Molly and Kenneth Glenn, my brother, Makana Keakua, my grandparents, the doctors and nurses, Rally, and everyone who has helped, supported, and prayed for me. Most importantly, I want to thank God that I'm still alive, seeing all here at this event, able to stand up on the stage giving this speech. After 4 rounds of chemo, each round staying at the hospital for more than a month, 2 years of missing school, spending Christmas, Halloween, and my birthday at the hospital, 1 bone marrow transplant, and over 120 days staying in Gainesville, I'm so grateful to say that I'm cancer-free. Thank you. AML with my specific gene mutations is so rare that there has only been one other documented pediatric case, and I am the only documented survivor. But my fight isn't over. Since leaving Gainesville, I've spent more nights in the hospital than I have at home. Kids fighting cancer need better treatments so we can get back to being kids again. My journey doesn't look like anyone else's, and other kids' journeys won't look like mine. But I still say, keep fighting and amen, because in Jeremiah 29:11 it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So with that, I thank you for having me here listening to my story. But before I walk off the stage, I wanted to share just what an impact Rally has had on my life. I know they're my back corner, fighting behind the scenes, so that hopefully other kids won't have to endure such harsh treatments to save our lives. Treatments that often do just as much harm as the cancer it was made to treat. I also know that Rally is there by my side, like when Rally Haley showed up to the hospital in Gainesville just before my bone marrow transplant. It meant so much to me because at a time where I felt like I was leaving my home and family behind to an unknown darkness. But Rally Haley showing up reminded me that I wasn't alone, that everyone at home and in Pensacola was still there supporting me, even when I felt so far away. They didn't give up or forget me just because I wasn't sitting in front of them. They still constantly showed up in visits and texts of love and encouragement. I was still on their mind and hearts. And sometimes that very thing is what gives us kids the strength to keep fighting. Rally isn't just who I mentioned tonight in my speech, it's all of you. When you raise your paddle tonight, you become the strength, you become the hope. You're investing in more than cures. You're investing in kids like me. You are creating a future where us kids get to grow up, dream big, and shine. Every single dollar raised tonight goes directly to funding childhood cancer research. Research that gives kids like me better treatments. Research that means fewer side effects. Research that means more birthdays, more school days, less days spent in the hospital, and more dreams coming true. So tonight, I'm asking you from my whole heart to give big. Thank you and rally on.